Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar entitled Moodle in Higher Education for Improved Learning Outcomes. Thanks for joining us here this afternoon. We're right at the top of the hour here. People are still joining, but I think we're going to go ahead and get started just so we have plenty of time to get through our content here today. I'm going to start with just some introductions and some housekeeping as we get in here. I'm Josh Mitchell. I'm the Director of Sales here at eThink Education. Joining me today is our Vice President of Services, Courtney Bentley, who you're going to hear from in just a little bit as we get into the demonstration today. What we're going to do is we're going to start with talking at a high level about Moodle. I don't know that everybody on today's webinar is using Moodle currently. We have a mix of folks that are on Moodle as well as others who are not. So we're going to start at the top and talk about what Moodle's all about as a project and a platform. Then we will talk about what we do here at eThink Education. We are a certified Moodle partner, and I'm going to talk about the kinds of services that we provide. Then I'm going to turn it over to Courtney, and she's actually going to show you some of our Moodle sites that we support and walk through some of the things that I'm going to talk about, and also highlight some of the key features and functionality that help you improve learning outcomes. That's sort of the spin on today's session. This is a session we do every month or every couple of months, and today's is a little bit different spin, looking in particular at the improved learning outcomes and how Moodle can help facilitate that. So that'll be the angle we take in the demo today. We will leave some time at the end for your questions and hopefully some answers. To that end, there is a questions feature here in GoToWebinar. You can submit questions there anytime that you have them. We will sort of look at those as we go, and particularly as we get toward the end, start to take a look at what we can get into here in the Q&A portion. I ask that you don't use the chat feature, as I likely will not see that. We don't pay much attention to that, but the questions feature, you can submit questions anytime you have them, and we will get there at the end. All right, so as I said, we just want to start at the top here talking about what Moodle is all about. So Moodle, I just made reference to this, is both a project and a platform. So it's a learning management system, the most widely used LMS in the world. It has continued to grow to almost 100,000 registered implementations on the Moodle.org website now, with well in excess of 100 million learners. I think that might actually be 130 or 140 million learners that those registered implementations are supporting. So that is by far the most widely used LMS in the world. In North America, in higher education, it's remained very steady. It's retained a very steady market presence in terms of the number of colleges and universities using it. It is also a project, so it's an open source platform. It is one that is developed by an organization in Australia called Moodle HQ and supported by primarily by a network of partners across the globe. It is one that is a modular platform by design, so it's meant to be something that is very flexible in what you can do with it. So a lot of the things that we're going to talk about today, some of the things that Courtney's going to show, are features and functionality that can be introduced by way of a plugin or a module, something that's not part of the core product that you can go download for free, but that you can add by installing a plugin. So that flexibility that Moodle offers is very unique in the LMS space, and that's one of the primary reasons that people adopt Moodle is their ability to be very flexible in what they can do with it and really configure it around their needs. It is a community-driven platform, so what that means is there is a core version of the product that's released typically twice a year, which you can go and download for free. But then often functionality is introduced not as part of core, but as a plugin or a module, as I said. And often those are written by folks who are using Moodle, who want Moodle to do something cool and something new, something that it's not doing currently, and so they'll write a plugin to introduce that functionality. Sometimes those things then get adopted and brought into the core platform. Other times there are plugins that continue to be well maintained and developed upon. But that community-driven nature is very unique to Moodle being open source. So what that really allows for is Moodle to stay very cutting edge and for things to be released more quickly than if they only came out as part of the twice annual core releases. It's a standards compliant platform as an open source product that is pretty critical, that different kinds of open standards are well supported. It really supports a best of breed kind of approach. What that means is there are lots of options for how you can handle synchronous video, for example. or plagiarism tools, and many other kinds of things. And those kinds of products typically have either plugins or LTI connections into Moodle, but you really get to choose which is best for you, which is best for your budget and your needs, and use what makes the most sense, rather than having only perhaps one option that might be built in, but is limited in terms of your ability to choose. So that's some things about Moodle that make it really special. The final thing that I'll say is, you see the final bullet point here, it is open source, and it can be downloaded for free. We like to say it's free like a puppy, i.e. you still have to take care of the puppy and feed it, perhaps give it some training, those kinds of things. And so that's where a company like us comes in. We say Moodle's best to be deployed by experts, and that is what we are here at eThink. So eThink Education, we are a certified Moodle partner. So I alluded to this before, that the Moodle HQ, the financial resources that pay for the team of developers there, those primarily come from contributions from Moodle partners. So we actually pay part of our revenue, contribute part of our revenue back to Moodle HQ. That's where most of that funding for the development of the product comes from. So when you work with a Moodle partner like us, you are supporting the project and supporting the development of the platform in a very real and direct way. That's one of the benefits to working with a partner. What we do that's really unique is we are a fully managed solution. We're a very service-heavy solution. So what that means is that we basically handle everything on the back end of the Moodle platform for our clients. So our clients don't need to have or develop or hire a lot of expertise in how to configure, update, install plugins and whatnot in Moodle, because that's what we do for them. I'm going to give some examples of some of those kinds of things that we do, but that's basically the line of demarcation. Is on the back end, we take care of everything, and on the front end, then our clients are able to focus on their courses, their content, their users, and we are really the extension of their team that is taking care of Moodle. So again, that approach is very unique. I'll talk more about what some of the things are that we do here going forward. We've been in this business for 11 years. We are now the largest Moodle partner in North America. We have grown very, very rapidly the last 4 years in particular because of some of the things that I'm going to talk about here. We simply are doing these things. There are services that we provide that others do not, and we just are providing a better total solution than what anybody else in the market is doing. So we've had hundreds of clients that have moved to us from other Moodle providers, many that have come to us from having been self-hosted, that are coming here looking for the kinds of things that I'm going to talk about, the things that we offer. Hosting is sort of the easy part of what we do. We host with Amazon Web Services. That's a very scalable, very reliable environment that we are able to give our clients. It's all the services on top of that our clients are really paying for, and great support with open source software. So we keep all of our clients on separate code bases. That allows them to upgrade when they want to. That allows them to use different kinds of third-party plugins and modules they may want to use, which really allows them to leverage the flexibility of Moodle, which is what makes it special, and really take advantage of that in their particular installation. We have very defined processes for implementing new clients and taking them through a discovery process around what they're really looking to do, and then offer a lot of consulting, a lot of guidance around these are the best ways to do what you're trying to do. This is how to optimize the experience for your learners. And when it comes to today's sort of angle, which is improving learning outcomes, our team has very deep experience using Moodle as practitioners at institutions. So Courtney, who you're going to hear from shortly, was a director of instructional technology at a university using Moodle, using it to support faculty in their teaching and learning. So we're able to, as we see new functionality come out, as we see, as we understand the needs of our clients, we're able to give them great guidance and advice on how to take advantage of those features and what they should be using in order to improve the teaching and learning that they're doing, and therefore, thereby, the outcomes that they are achieving on their campus. Integration is something we'll touch on a little bit here today, just so you have a sense for what we do there. We are Ellucian partners. You see the logo here on the screen. We are the only Moodle partners that are also Ellucian partners. This is one of our real strengths. And finally, service, I'm going to talk about again here as well. So just some of the specific services that we provide, the things that sort of fall under the umbrella of full management. It begins with just the look and feel of each Moodle site that we work with. And you're going to see a couple of those here today. There are different themes for Moodle. We have clients using a variety of different themes. We fully manage those for them. So we show clients their options. Once we've selected which they are most interested in, we do all the branding and the configuration around that, apply their logos, their color schemes. So full responsibility for the theme is one of the things that we do to ensure that the site really looks and feels the way that our clients want it to. I talked about how we keep our clients on separate code bases. I've talked about how it's a modular product. We install and configure plugins and modules at no cost. So this is something we've had a lot of clients move over to us from Blackboard Moodle rooms, for example. We're in the 60s in terms of the number of clients that have come from them to us. This is something that's a little bit different. They often, when we have clients come from Moodle rooms, for example, they've had to pay for plugins and modules there. And so they come here, they're able to use things they've never been able to use before and be able to do it at no additional cost. That's a real advantage to what we do. And again, that's what makes Moodle special. So we allow our clients to really take advantage of that. We do a lot of customized reporting. That is something that, in fact, I think Courtney will weave that in a little bit to the demonstration here today. That's something, again, that's very unique in the Moodle space. There is a block called configurable reports that we use to write custom SQL queries. And we do that for our clients at no cost. That's, again, part of the package that we offer. We will, if somebody asks for a report, as long as it can be queried out of Moodle, we'll look through the things we've built in the past, see if there's something that we can tweak, or perhaps write something brand new. But there's a lot of flexibility that we offer our clients around the reporting that they're able to get out of Moodle, and that's a real advantage of our solution. The same is true with roles. We have clients that have needed different kinds of access for different kinds of people, things that are not out of the box, and we also are able to tweak and customize roles, which we do at no cost. Training in the Moodle platform is something that we also do a lot of. So we have 4 training courses we give all of our clients at no cost. There's 1 of those for students, 2 of those for faculty, and the 4th is for administrators. We update those every time our clients upgrade their sites. We do twice annual webinars, whereas Moodle releases new versions, we do webinars around what's new in the latest version. We also, as we really understand the new version and how to take advantage of the new tools, we incorporate those into the training modules that we give our clients so that we are continually introducing and helping them to understand what's available and how to take advantage of it. So that, again, when you're talking about improved learning outcomes, as new functionality comes out with that end in mind, understanding how to use it is key, and we help our clients to understand that and understand that it's even there. Integration I'm going to talk about here in a moment, and before I get to integration, I just want to talk about customer service, because really with an open source piece of software, that's what this is all about. We have a great team with a lot of depth and breadth of expertise and experience in Moodle. What we really hang our hat on, in 11 years of business, we've never lost a single client to another Moodle provider. And the reason for that is because of the quality of service that we provide, the timeliness of response that our clients are able to expect. So we track all of our tickets. Our clients are in our Zendesk system, and so we're able to get great reporting out of that. And the most recent data that I saw, we tell people all the time that our average first response to support tickets is in under 1 hour. I actually just saw a graph that showed that by month, and not only was it under an hour, but it was under 40 minutes for most months in the last 6 months, and under an hour in every single one of them. So that's how quickly we are responding to clients and attending to their issues when they have them. And that is what has kept our clients so sticky with us, is that they feel well supported, well taken care of, and therefore have no reason to look elsewhere. Here are just some quotes. I'm not going to read these to you, but I'll give you a moment to sort of digest these here on the screen. These are real quotes that have come from our clients. We call this Ethink Love, and these are things that our clients have said to us verbally over the phone or by email in resolving a support ticket, and we grab some really good ones here and share them on webinars like this, because this really begins to tell the story of what our clients think of us and therefore the job that we do. So we're pretty proud of this. And if you follow us on Twitter, you would see these kinds of things in real time, essentially. Speaking of real time, it's a good segue into talking about integration. So this is the final thing I'm going to talk about before I turn this over to Courtney to actually show you some things. But this is a big part of what we do. When we talk about full management, part of that is making it really easy for our clients to be able to manage Moodle on their campus. And one of the ways we do that is by automating as much as possible on the back end in their student information system integration. So these are agnostic integrations. It really doesn't matter to us what SIS, for the most part, our clients are using. But these are real-time integrations with many different SISs where we're able to pull over courses and enrollments in real time, so that if a student drops a course and then adds another one and the next minute logs into into Moodle, they see the accurate reflection of the courses they are enrolled in at that time. What we are also able to do is have faculty enter grades, both midterm and final grades, in Moodle and send those back to the SIS as part of the integration. We can also capture 2 kinds of attendance data and send that back to the SIS. So that is all, that sort of two-way integration is something that we have also added in. I talked about customizable roles before. There's actually, in our world, a standard role for an observer. And so basically what this is part of the integration, is a pretty common need set that our clients have had over the years, is they want to give certain kinds of people, department chairs, for example, access to all of the courses in their department. But they want to do that in a really efficient way, and they want them only to have read-only access, not enroll them as a student, for example, so they show up in the list and the listing in the course. So what we've done is build this custom role, and then we have a mapping screen where you can map someone. John Doe, for example, can be given this level of access to any course with the prefix of ECO, if it's an economics course, for example. And then every time a new term is created, all of the courses with that prefix, John Doe is given the observer level access into those courses automatically. So a big time saver once that's mapped to create all of those enrollments without having to do it one by one every term. The same is true with the non-academic course integration. So this is basically anything on the Moodle side that doesn't exist in the student information system, but you want to apply some logic to driving enrollments into that course. So a good example might be a student orientation course. Some of our clients, for example, take our student training course that we provide at no cost and want to auto-enroll their freshmen and their transfer students into that to give them a baseline level of familiarity with Moodle. So what that is able to do is create that as a non-academic course on the Moodle side and just use that logic that if somebody is a freshman in the student information system, then they're auto-enrolled into that course. Our clients use that for faculty committees, chapel courses, things like that as well. So a lot of things that can be done there to really drive those enrollments using logic and save a lot of time. And finally, the last part of this that I'll talk about is we also are able to recognize cross-listed or cross-tallied courses in the student information system and automatically combine those into a single shell on the Moodle side. That can also then send the grades and attendance back to the proper place, back on the student information system side, but saves a lot of time without having to use meta courses to combine those in Moodle. So with that, I think what we will do is dive into our demonstration here today. I want to introduce again our Vice President of Services, Courtney Bentley, who is going to, as I give her control, who is going to walk us through some client sites and highlight a couple of things in particular that are oriented toward improving learning outcomes. So Courtney, it's all yours.
Yeah, thanks so much, Josh. I love that give me control. That doesn't happen all that often, so I appreciate it. No, it's excellent to be here this afternoon for most of us. I did take a look at the participant list last night and was sort of thinking about the things that most people were most interested in talking about today. So I know that we have people from all over the world joining us, and that really excites me. As Josh mentioned, my background is in higher education, and so the things that I talk about today are pretty near and dear to my heart. So, you know, if this is your first demo with us, if this is your first webinar, I would encourage you after this, if it's piqued your interest, to go back to some of our previous ones and take a look. This one is going to be quite different. So for those of you who may have joined us in the past, I hope that you will see some different things in here. I really did want to focus today in on improved outcomes. I think that, you know, for most of us in the higher education space, this has been a real focus. Obviously, it's been a focus for a long time, but I think more recently, we've put a lot of emphasis in beginning to look at the student experience, to look at the learner, much less about the sage on the stage from the faculty perspective and more about how can we empower faculty to really get to the heart of teaching and really get students built up in their skills and their knowledge. So I'll get off my soapbox and I'll get into the actual demonstration here. I really want to hit on some key things through showing you what we can do in Moodle. I'm going to talk a bit about communication and feedback and how those are tied into improved outcomes. I want to take a few minutes and show you some things around in regard to feedback, but also in regard to quiz assessments, things around using restrict access to be able to guide students through learning in order to sometimes provide remediation. We're seeing this restrict access used also in competency and outcomes-based learning, being able to really direct information to students when and where appropriate. I want to talk briefly and show you a little bit about some of the competency work that we can do in here, show you frameworks and how we're able to map those in across the LMS, and definitely show you some things that we do with reporting. As Josh mentioned, we do use things like the configurable reports block to really help you see what's going on within your system and be able to really target students to get them back and re-engaged. So with that, kind of giving you the high level overview of where we want to head today, I just want to jump right in. So I am going to actually start from the faculty member perspective. I obviously could log in with my administrator account, but I think that a lot of this work on learning outcomes is not necessarily all tied into the LMS. It's really how the LMS empowers your faculty members, your teachers. So I want to start from that perspective. So what you're looking at right now is my teacher, John Keating. He's just logged into the LMS. I sort of reset his account a little bit because I wanted to show you this user tour functionality. I don't think most people would think of this as really benefiting learning outcomes, but it does. You may have adult learners, you may have students who are really good on their cell phones, but not necessarily good with an LMS. And so things like this guided user tour really set the stage for them to give them an orientation of what they're going to see, what they're going to experience, how they can navigate through, and how they can be successful. We've even constructed these down on the course level for people. So introductions to courses, how to navigate, how to get around, what are the expectations. We've set these up for faculty who may be using template courses. Why do we have these blocks in here? What are the expectations for you to engage with your students? So lots of tools at your disposal within this platform to really begin from the very first time someone logs in to engage them. So the next thing you'll notice here is that John is on his dashboard. We've added some really cool features to the dashboard in recent versions. You'll notice this recently accessed courses. This keeps track essentially of the courses that I go in and out of, and so it will give me that quick access right from the top of the page if I want to dip right back into a course, which I'm going to do in just a moment. A couple of other pieces here though, just to show things like the course overview have been modified recently. This is all core Moodle, so I'm not showing you plugins or anything additional yet. So being able to add images to your courses, be able to card them, make them more attractive. One of the things that, again, is really powerful, and you'll notice it ties in when we talk about access restrictions, is completion tracking. So being able to indicate what's required in this course and for the learner to be able to track their progress through. So pulling that right up to the very front of the page so they can see that. I'll draw your attention over here. My apologies that it isn't blank, that it is blank, but there's also a timeline block, which is really nice, giving users the ability to see quickly what they have coming, what might be overdue. They're able to set their own time frames. see exactly sort of what they need to take action on next. They're able to do their own sort of modifications here to the way that those pieces might display for them. One of the other things before I move on from here that I also want to show is around messaging and notifications. So you'll notice up at the top the alerts. We're all used to those. We've all been using our cell phones probably enough that those little flashing red notices let us know that there are things there that we need to pay attention to. So as the faculty member, my notifications you'll see are things like Winnie Barber has updated her assignment submission for the 1-minute paper for week 2. So she just turned that in about 22 minutes ago, and we'll take a look and grade her assignment in just a moment. You'll notice too with the messaging components, we can do internal messaging. It's kind of awkward for my fake user to talk to myself, but we could do that here. You'll also notice in that same list that there are group messaging possibilities. So if you are using groups, you might have leveled your course. So you may have students who are struggling kind of identified into a study group, or you may have mixed a study group in order to try and let those stronger students kind of pull up the rest of the class. So group messaging is a really nice, simple way. Everyone's used to messaging one another already. And so this allows you to pull out those groups and continue those discussions, just to show you. So Winnie, who submitted her paper, is here in this group. I'm going to back out and just type them a quick message. So super, super easy, really nice, clean way. I guess it's blocking me. Sorry about that. At any rate, being able to group message people, being able to have that group chat right within the learning space. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on over to begin talking a little bit. We've hit on some of the communications pieces, and now I really want to jump into feedback and being able to really give learners guidance on what they're doing. So as I pointed out, Winnie's submission is here, and so I just want to show you that it is really nice and easy to get over to that paper. So notice I didn't have to navigate through any courses or anything like that. Brings me right to the grade summary interface so that I can see that 1-minute paper. I'm able to see how many have been submitted, how many need grading, that it's not hidden from my students. And all I need to do to get to the grading interface is click grade from here, and it's going to pull up my speed grader window. So I am able, as the faculty member, to come in here and take a look at just those that require grading if I want to. And so we see Winnie in her test submission paper here. You'll notice that I have the ability to annotate this. So if I wanted to add some comments to her, right? If I wanted to highlight certain parts, obviously there's not a lot of text to work with here, but just to get an idea of the ability to really put feedback right on their page, being able to really guide them into the pieces and parts where they need the most work. I also want to draw your attention over here to the side on the speed grader. So again, it shows the submission information. It shows any comments that she may have made, and then it gives me my grade space. So one of my favorite things about this is the ability to incorporate a rubric for my learners. So I can just pop out that rubric pretty easy. I can tell her that she's not on topic. I can say that there's some independent thinking, but it doesn't really demonstrate critical thinking. I can come over here and add some additional comments for her. I can type and all these things at the same time. And so I can pop that out for her. I can also come down and give overall feedback if I prefer. So many of you may just want to give some overall constructive comments for them. Being able to do that right within the text editor Let me slide that over so I can get more real estate there. One of the other things that's really powerful when you talk about student outcomes and engaging students, particularly those who you're not seeing face to face every day. So if you're using Moodle to facilitate fully online courses, being able to really make that personal connection is important in a lot of your situations. So one of the things that's been incorporated that makes that really easy is within this feedback, my ability to record audio or video right within the interface. So if I want to, instead of typing out comments for her, record, all I have to do is start recording. And now, little meta there, I can record the feedback directly into the feedback area within her assignment. I attach that recording. And so now when Winnie comes in to review her grade and her submission, she's able to see and listen to me give her that feedback and be able to make those recommendations for changes that she might need to make. So I can save and show the next and move quickly through all of my student submissions if I want to. So again, I think this is a really impactful area where there have been lots of improvements lately in being able to really take a look at improving student outcomes and student learning. So I'm just going to navigate back to my course and talk about a few other things. One of the other places where feedback is really critical is around assessments. Let me see, I think I have my quiz sample down here and hopefully I've set it up. No questions have been added. Let me duck over into another quiz so I can give you a sense of that. So in terms of quizzing and assessment, this is another area where Moodle really shines. Many different quiz question types are built into the assessments, giving you a lot of flexibility to do everything from traditional multiple choice questions to matching to drag and drop question types. I'll show you, I'll go ahead and take a look at an example quiz just so that you get an idea of that. And one of the things that I wanted to do as well is sort of talk briefly. Josh mentioned the idea of third-party plugins, being able to incorporate other resources that you may already use. One of those resources may be things like a proctoring tool. You know, we got kind of nervous when online learning came into the scene, right? Because traditionally, we wanted faculty to be watching students as they were taking these high stakes assessments. And so that was one of the first things that sort of gave people a little concern when we began to move online. That's changed, obviously, over time. And the ability to add in additional tools such as Proctorio or ProctorU gives us that ability to proctor those exams, be able to really understand that it is the student taking the test on the other side of the computer. So this just gives you a sense of what a quiz might look like. There are lots of options, everything from paginating the quiz questions. Some of our instructors do one question per page and give immediate feedback as soon as someone answers. Others will paginate so that students aren't sort of overwhelmed. You can limit their ability to move backward within the quiz. So a lot of different options there. And this quiz really, again, is just meant to demonstrate the different question types. You'll notice that you can even embed essay type questions in here. You can also have them upload files within the quiz module as well. So again, lots of flexibility, lots of different ways to be able to assess the students and their outcomes, be able to take a look at multiple attempts side by side and see how they are progressing and if they've gotten better or not. One of the things that this quiz doesn't quite show is things like incorporating additional images and video and audio. So if you are using a rich media course, pull that into your quizzes. Quiz your students on their ability to take a look at that material and use it to answer those questions. I'm going to go ahead and finish my attempt here, just so that you can take a look. See if this one is set to give me some feedback. I may have grabbed the wrong one. You'll notice that this is giving me correct and incorrect feedback. One of the really nice things, though, is that you can be really granular. You can give students feedback based on their individual selections. So if they picked an incorrect answer, you can give them feedback on that answer and be able to redirect them. Let me see if I can jump into one that might be a little better. Let me review Anna's attempt here. What you're looking at right now briefly was just the summary page where I can look at all of the student assessments. So you'll notice here that when Anna looks at her quiz to review, she gets even more information. So again, as a faculty member, you're able to really define that, decide what it is that's going to be important for them to receive, to be able to remediate, to be able to go back and sort of make sure that they understand the concepts and the material. Let's see where we are in our outline here. I think I do want to go ahead and talk about access restrictions. I did just want to remind everyone, I see some questions coming in, so make sure that you are adding questions in here, and I promise we'll come back and take a look and answer as many of those as we can. I did have a question a few minutes ago about features that are native to Moodle or plugin enabled. Of all of the things that I've shown you so far today, the only thing that you've really seen that's a third-party plugin is the proctoring service, so the ability to proctor the exam. I do want to move back to my biology course, and you will see another example of a plugin. So I think when I looked at the list, there were many of you who might have seen Moodle a while ago. So let me start there for just a quick second and show you this course. So this course is set up in a pretty traditional way. That first section in the course we refer to as the 0 topic or the 0 week. These are materials that are usually used throughout the entire term. So things like the syllabus, the attendance module maybe, the news forums, the announcement spaces. So all of those pieces that a student might need to come back and refer to on an ongoing basis. And then as we scroll down, we begin to see the different topics in this course. Sometimes these are weekly formatted with a week range, and other times they're just labeled by the materials that they contain or by the topic numbering. This gives you the ability as a faculty member to cluster material in the best way for your students. So I used learning management systems previously where things were organized by the type of activity. So if I wanted to participate in discussion forums, I needed to go over to the discussion forum space. If I needed to submit an assignment, I would go over to the assignment or Dropbox space. If I needed to take a quiz, I would go to the quiz or assessment spot. That's not the case with Moodle. That's the thing I love about it, is that you're able to pull in the materials that make the most sense, put them in the order that's going to help your students learn the material and to reinforce those concepts before they move on to the next pieces. So this is sort of that traditional layout. So scrolling top to bottom, the ability to highlight a certain week that might be, or topic that might be the current one. You'll notice too that we do have the ability to do things like restrict access. So being able to restrict an entire portion of the course and release those automatically as we move through time. So again, very traditional sort of use of Moodle and the way that the course is laid out. You may have noticed in my biology course, though, it looks a little different. So this is an example of a third-party plugin. This is a module that allows us to create these cards automatically. So basically what it has done is it has taken that topic 1, topic 2, topic 3 container, and it's put it in a nice sort of card format. So again, as I scroll down, it will still let me format it in the same way. Or I can turn all of these activities into cards as well. So for those of you who are looking for a different look and feel for a particular course, things like course formats are an easy way to modify that. And this is one that we, of course, really are beginning to like quite a bit for some of its feature and functionality there. Let's see what else we need to cover here. I mentioned the restrict access in terms of a topic block. And as you can see here, I have a couple of examples where I've restricted access based on role. So in this example, the instructor review documents are hidden from students. We also can, if you have teaching assistants or if you have academic advisors who are in your course and you want to show them certain information without making it visible to students, that is a nice way to do that, is to use the access restrictions as well. I want to show you another kind of conceptual way that we might take a look at this as well. If I can find my course. I think John's in there too, so let me just show it from his perspective. Let me show you this remediation example course. So one of the things that has been really effective for a lot of you in helping to improve student outcomes is something I mentioned at the top of my portion, was being able to first assess what the student knows, and then present them with the right pathway for what they need. So this example looks a little cluttered. My apologies for that. But what you'll notice is that there is a Unit 1 assessment. And so this assessment, if you notice over here, has some completion requirements around it. So again, for those of you who are new to Moodle or may not be using these, the completion tracking is going to allow you to determine what it means to be complete. So in this assessment, what I've done as the instructor is I've said that anyone who makes 85% or better may not need to go through the full lesson. Maybe they can go ahead and skip right ahead to lesson 2. So if I switch over, just so that you get a sense of what this looks like, kind of split screen, here's Anna, and Anna is in that same remediation course. So all she sees right now is the Unit 1 assessment. She can come in and take that quiz now. So let me just get her quickly through a couple of these questions. Who knows? And actually, this essay question is probably going to mess me up, but we'll go ahead and finish it out just so that you guys have a sense of what that looks like. Finish her attempt. I'm going to go ahead and finish that attempt. Submit it. You'll notice that it does make sure that the student is really ready to finish her attempt. And so now when she goes back to that remediation course, she gets some immediate feedback here. Unit 1 material review. Your pretest score shows you could use some additional review. Let's start with the Unit 1 lesson. You'll notice too that it's automatically hyperlinked that. That's another really nice feature to lead learners through. So she can click either the Unit 1 lesson here or Unit 1 lesson here as well. Some other interesting things you can do with sort of hiding materials and making them visible only when needed. So again, I think this concept of remediation, using those access restrictions, really guiding learners through what they need to know. You can imagine if you've been doing a lot of work with CBE, you can definitely imagine giving some of these pre-tests, giving some assessments, allowing learners who need it to go in and review, allowing learners who don't need it to skip ahead, work on their case studies, submit their example assignments, and then move along to the next portions. So again, nice ways that are completely built into the system for you to be able to move students toward those improved learning outcomes. I want to be mindful of time too, so let me go ahead and move on to a couple of other pieces. I've mentioned competencies and CBE a couple of times. This is a place where a lot of our institutions are sort of working and thinking and trying to determine how best to do that. The competency frameworks within Moodle are a nice way to begin to introduce this into the LMS and the work that you're doing. So what you see here in this site is the competency frameworks that they've put together. So they have a student learning outcomes strategy. They have 8 sort of main level outcomes. Of course, I've gotten logged out. This is what happens when you're super secure, right? So the learning outcomes that they are trying to assess across the entire institution. So what they're able to do is set these up at the site level, map these down into courses, and then even further map them into individual assignments so that they have a nice sort of broad view of this. Not only is this obviously going to be helpful for you to assess that your learning outcomes are being taught toward, but it's going to be able to allow you to see at a high level and assess those programs to know that they really are being focused on. So one of the things we've done, and we mentioned that we do some custom reporting, I will say that the competency frameworks in Moodle need some additional reporting. They need some additional pieces to really make them work for how you want to look at competencies. And so one of the things we've done with some of our institutions is built some custom reporting. So in this example, this is showing all of those 8 competencies that they are looking to map. This is going to give us the ability to drill into that competency and take a look at the courses where it has been mapped. And then it's going to allow us to go even further and take a look within that course where it's linked to certain assignments. So giving you that ability to kind of at a high level view that all across the institution is really helpful. So I can see all of these courses that it's been mapped into from the administrator type of level. Now, we don't do this reporting just for competencies. That's really just one example. We've also got some other places where we've done some of this in order, again, to really try and think about improved outcomes. So one of the things that we know about learners is the more they engage in the material and with one another, the better their grade. This is the whole part of the whole reason why Moodle was developed, is to be a social constructivist type of platform. And so we have gone ahead and created some additional reports to really allow you to begin to see where that activity is taking place. So this report is a site level report showing forum activity all across the institution, essentially. So showing for every course, sort of how many discussions and how many different posts are being made in each of those. So giving you the ability to do some real high level kind of looking, but then also drilling into the individual course level. So being able to see down at the course level for different forums, how much did individual learners participate, how many times did they initiate discussion. So really giving you a lot of the data that you're going to need to be able to think about and to look at how learners are engaging across the board. Let me move on to a couple of other examples too. So this one is an assignment submission status report. So again, I'm just giving you some ideas of some of the types of reports that we've built that really begin to help our institutions think about improved outcomes. This one again is about assignments. So did they submit their assignments? Were they overdue? Were they not submitted at all? So these types of reports again give some additional clarity for faculty. It's not that this information doesn't exist in standard Moodle reports, but we just pull them together in different ways that we feel like make it much more efficient. We also do a lot of things around attendance. So Josh mentioned that part of our integration is to build out all of the course shells, manage the enrollments. And so again, you know, that is building toward efficiency and better outcomes, because the more people who are engaging in the LMS, the more of a habit it becomes for everyone. And, you know, frankly, when I was teaching, a lot of times it was the students who were driving and sort of pushing me and other faculty members to use the LMS in different ways. Remember, they see the creativity and the uses from all of their courses. And so they have a really interesting perspective of things that might be working or not working. So creating those courses, managing those enrollments are some of the pieces that we take on for you. We also, as Josh mentioned, have the integration where we can send midterm and final grades back. And then we also have the attendance integration as well. So using the attendance module right within Moodle, allowing faculty to take attendance and then be able to send that attendance back to the SIS makes a really nice, efficient pathway. A lot of our institutions use that attendance data from the SIS to then reach out to students who might be at risk. We also have institutions that like to look at that attendance data right within the system. So we've again built some custom reports for this. So in this case, we're looking at a student absence report. Now I've expunged the names of students for their protection here. But what you'll notice is that for each student, so each line is a student, it's showing the information about the course, their last access into a particular course. And then it's also showing me counts, essentially, of the number of sessions where attendance has been taken. And then for those sessions, how many were they absent? How many were they present, late, excused? And then it's giving me a quick percentage of absence. So many of our institutions will use this type of report for their academic advisors to reach out to students who are missing more than the expected number of days. Many of you may have attendance policies, and so being able to use this information to reach out is really powerful. Another piece to the integration is observer mapping. So Josh mentioned that one of the things we're able to do is take an observer role that we've created and be able to give them access to courses across the LMS. Most of the time, I will say this is in the context of deans and department chairs, people who need access to kind of dip in and have read-only access to the content, but don't really need to participate and receive notifications and fun things like that. We do have quite a few of the institutions that have begun to think about expanding this use of this tool, because what they are able to do is to wildcard a course prefix and then map in a particular role for a person. So in this case, you'll notice that there is an EDU professional advisor. So they have a professional advisor who needs access to kind of see what's going on in these courses. And so he's granted access to be able to go in and take a look. In a lot of cases, that academic advisor can then help those students kind of follow through on assignments or help them navigate the space better. Your student services team is probably your most powerful weapon. And so being able to grant them access into the LMS is really only going to provide better student outcomes in the long run. So I know that we're coming up on time, and I do see a bunch of questions, and obviously I want to get over there and answer a lot of them. I think the last piece that I did forget, I began to mention kind of this idea of early alert. One of the other things that you should know is that Moodle is doing a lot around this idea of early alert, machine learning behind the scenes. So the analytics models, this is a tool that's built right into the platform. It ships, or I guess it doesn't technically ship, but Moodle comes with these two already built in. And we're always looking at ways to build new models to determine what does it mean? Who falls out? What students end up dropping out of courses, and for what reasons? And so, with machine learning behind the scenes, it goes in, it evaluates your courses from previous terms. It uses all of that data to build models so that for your particular institution, you'll be able to begin to see what students are at risk. So, many of you might be using tools like Starfish or Aspire EDU, different tools that are going to provide for early alert. Moodle is trying to do that right within the platform with you as well. If you are already using Moodle and you're interested in looking at this, please reach out. It's a big area that more data collection is needed in order to really make that machine learning behind the scenes really impactful. I hope that this has been helpful. I hope that those of you who use Moodle have gotten some new ideas. For those of you who don't use Moodle, I hope that you've begun to see what's possible. And we'd, of course, love to continue the conversation. I think Josh has pulled up some contact information for you to be able to reach out so we can continue these conversations. Let me be quiet, and Josh will take back over, and I'll see if we have some questions that we can answer in the remaining minute or two.
Yeah, that was great, Courtney. Courtney, thank you for just bringing so much content here and showing so much in the short amount of time we had. There are quite a few questions. Unfortunately, we're not going to have time to get to all of them, but I think there's a couple of some commonalities between some of them. Some of what you're showing, Courtney, how much of this is the newest version? Someone had asked, what version are we showing? And it sounds like there might be some questions about certain features not in certain people's sites. So how much of that was the newest version versus the last couple of versions? If you can just comment on that.
Yeah, so the version that I was using for the demo site, so most of the things that you saw from John Keating and most of that is 3.6. So these are features available in 3.6, and quite a few of them are new additions. So pieces like the dashboard, the group messaging, these are all new with the recent versions. Things like access restrictions and activity tracking, those are pieces that have been in there for quite a while. Somebody had also asked about how many of the features are native versus plugin enabled. I tried to begin answering that question as we went along, so I think you have a decent sense of that, that most of the things I showed today are core Moodle. So right standard built into the platform.
I think one takeaway I hope everybody has here today is I made the point right at the outset in talking about Moodle that we say it's best to be deployed by experts, and that's really what we are. And so this is a great example of what we help our clients to do every day, is understand what is available to them and how they can take advantage of it. So that is, when you have a platform like Moodle that can do so much, it can be difficult to wrap your arms around that. We have a whole team of experts So our arms extend quite wide in order to wrap around everything that we can do with Moodle. So I think unfortunately, I know there were a few other questions we did not get a chance to answer. We may hang here for a few minutes and try to answer some in writing. But I think we're going to go ahead and wrap our session here for today. The contact information is on the screen. If you have questions, please do feel free to reach out. We're always happy to do one-on-one demonstrations with folks. If you have a self-hosted Moodle site, or you're using another provider or another LMS altogether, then let's chat. So thank you for joining us here today, and everybody have a great day.
Thanks so much, Josh.